Hello YouTube, Dave here again. If you've been following this channel for the last couple of years, you'll know that one of my favorite things to collect are starter sets. It's just something that I find kind of fascinating when it comes to like the RPG industry and like the different ways that companies will put together these box sets in order to sort of introduce you to their systems, their mechanics, and try to get you hooked on their particular versions of games. And yeah, I absolutely love them. Like, I've got a whole bunch of them. I've got a series of videos dedicated to reviewing them, which I do want to get back into. I got the Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition set, which I have to really start taking a look at. Things have been pretty busy the last few weeks. Like, there's been some family visits, and there's been some other things going on that have just kind of made it difficult to have time to sit down and really work on stuff, but we're going to try to get that out very, very soon, hopefully within the next week or so. But while I was kind of looking online, and not that I particularly enjoy looking online for things like this, but my local area doesn't really offer a whole lot of options for trying to find like not new gaming stuff. I did come across this particular box set on eBay, and it was like $70 US. So somebody was selling this for, you know, a pretty low price. I've seen the same set go for like in the hundreds of dollars, like $200 to $300. If they were like fully complete, they've been even higher, like $500 or $600 listings I'd seen, especially in the past. I don't know so much about now, but I saw this one, and it's like, all right, I'm going to pull the trigger on that. And this is the classic Dungeons and Dragons game. So this is Epic Adventures with wizards, dragons, and magic. And this is basically, pun intended, I guess, Wizards of the Coast, or not Wizards of the Coast, actually, this would still be TSR back then. Wizards didn't buy TSR until 1997. This came out in 1994. So this was TSR's kind of last kick at the can for the D&D basic game. So we had like the Eric Holmes basic, we had the Moldvay Cook basic expert rules, we had the Menser Beckme system, which led to the release of a dedicated hardcover, the Rules Cyclopedia, in 1991. But this box set came out in 1994, and like I said, it's kind of a starter set, but it's interesting. There's some interesting things that I found in here that I really kind of set it apart from like the other like basic D&D games. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the box here. First of all, you got like the Red Dragon artwork here. Is really cool. It kind of reminds me of the like Tower of Doom Capcom arcade game from back in the day. You fight the Red Dragon. It's just this massive thing that you don't even get to see the whole dragon at any given time. And the first thing it does is use a breath weapon. That's an instant full screen kill. Though, in all fairness, the game asked you several times if you were sure you really wanted to go through with it. But anyway, there's really cool artwork here. We do see like the adventurer on the front here, although he appears to be the only one going after this dragon so far, which is interesting. And then on the back, we have some different artwork, although kind of a similar looking character there. So it says the dragon lunges, your flashing blade slices the air as searing flames burst over your shield. A lightning bolt crackles from your wizard's fingertips, then bounces harmlessly off the ancient beast's scarred and scaly hide. Will you stay and battle this deadly monster, or leave it behind with its hoard of stolen treasure? The Dungeons & Dragons game lets you and your friends create and play mighty wizards, mighty warriors, shrewd wizards, cunning elves, and nimble thieves. Again, this is basic D&D. Easier than ever to learn. So it has a 128-page rules and adventures book. It takes you adventuring while you learn the game. We're not going to go through a full thing of that, but we'll sort of touch on what that means. 6 molded plastic character figures. 24 stand-up counters featuring awesome monsters for you to face. This does say a 6-panel Dungeon Master screen. So I don't know. We'll take a look what I have here in this box, but it's not a 6-panel one. I think the 6-panel one that I've seen is kind of like that one with like the red borders around it. I don't know if that is in this, like if that was originally supposed to be in this box or not, but we do have a screen. It's just not a 6-panel one. And then a large full-color dungeon poster map. And a complete set of adventure dice, which we do not have. Like, the listing basically said that there were no dice included. But let's go ahead and open this up here. And we'll go through the components. So the first thing, we got our minis. And they're taped in. I'm just going to leave them in there. But you can see like the dwarf mini here with the old horned helmet. We've got our warrior character. We've got our cleric there with its mace. We have our thief character. We have our magic user. And then we've got this guy here, which has 2 swords, metal, like, looks like studded leather armor, scaled armor, and a helmet with a plume. So, and you get like a dwarf, you get the warrior, the magic user, the cleric, and the thief. And I don't know if this guy's supposed to be the elf. There's no like halfling mini either. But yeah, interesting stuff here. And then we've got our rules and adventure book, which I consider sort of be the main component. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. Then we've got the Dungeon Master screen. Now this again is only a 3-panel screen, but it says the classic in Dungeons & Dragons game, which is, you know, the same thing that's on here as well. It features the artwork from the front cover. So this feels like it's supposed to be in here. I don't know if there's maybe a second screen, or if maybe the 6-panel one was from an earlier printing. Because I have seen versions of this box where the box art is the same as this art here. Although I think that might have just been like the TSR UK release, because like Basic and like the Basic Expert or BECME D&D was really popular in the UK. Like even after the first 9 basic modules were done, there were 3 more that were done, like 10, 11, and 12, that were all done in the UK, right? So I think basic was pretty big back there. But, you know, a pretty good chart. Like, you know, we got our character hit roll table. Now, they do talk about THAC0, but things don't exactly work like on a 1-to-1 ratio like they do in like 2nd edition AD&D. So, for example, your fighter, fighter, elf, and dwarf characters levels 1 through 3 use the second line. Oh, sorry, use the second line here. That's the top line for the non-human characters. And then we got the fighter, elf, dwarf levels 1 through 3, magic user 1 through 5, cleric and thief 1 through 4, and then we got the fighter, elf, and dwarf 4 through 5, and then the cleric, thief, and halfling at level 5, and what they use for the second line there. So it's sort of interesting. Like the THAC0 starts at 19 and goes down to 17, but that's over the course of like 5 levels. You've got your adjustments, your ability score adjustments, like some weapons, the magic user spell table, the elf spell table, the cleric spell table, and yes, clerics still start with 0 spells at level 1. The thieves table, the turning table, the list of magic user and cleric spells, which is kind of cool. Yeah, because they wouldn't gain their 3rd level spells until level 6, which is not done here. We've got the order of play, armor class tables, and I kind of appreciate the fact that they did the sensible thing, and they just kind of included like the best armors for different categories. I was talking to a buddy of mine about this with like 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, where you've got like light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor, and you've got all these suits of armor that really the only ones that people are going to want to take are the last entry in all 3 of those. Like it's chain shirt, chain shirt, breastplate, and full plate armor, because those are just the best all around. We've also got, we'll take a look at our little standees here. Some of them have been punched out, it looks like, but you've got like their shadow and their artwork on the opposite sides there. So we have like the orc, and definitely a different look to the kobolds back during this period of time. We have our guards, which they're not wearing like any type of metal armor. Another guard. Jurg, I don't know if this is a unique character or not. I haven't really looked through the adventure yet. And then we've got the rest of the sheet there. Looks like there's a white dragon, a minotaur. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like I'm missing. Oh nope, there it is. So Axel, it definitely looks like a named NPC. So we got all the things here, all the cardboard little standees, And you can fold them, and they would have... I don't want to do too much here because I don't want to wreck them, but basically, just kind of stand up like that. All right, we also have the TSR marketing department. So this is the survey card, looks like. Or customer response card. Be interesting to fill this out in 2026, and I mean, we wouldn't be able to send it to them, but I do. I do not own. I do not own a VCR anymore, unfortunately. And actually, I don't technically own an audio CD player anymore. So that kind of is definitely sign of the time there. And then get more to your game. So So this looks like yeah, the sign up thing. Oh, the RPGA Network. Oh, here you go. So you can sign up for that. You've got Polyhedron Magazine. Oof. From having like gotten Dungeon Magazine during the Paizo era, like Polyhedron was always a sore spot for people. So some really cool stuff there. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit the entire map on camera at once, but we'll at least go over it. It's only single-sided. And there's a couple things that like seem interesting, like the minis and then the map. Oh. So this is Zanzer's Dungeon, and each square is 5 feet. So it's kind of cool to have that in there as well. Just the one map, so there's multiple levels to the dungeon, so I don't know exactly how they would do that with the map, if the map is like for either the first or the final one, but yeah, really cool. Though now the map with these like sort of like plastic minis, the way that they are, the sort of the size of them, and the look of them, it kind of reminds me of like the Hero Quest type of thing. And I know there was like a D&D style like board game that they use to, I think, try to like sway people towards the RPG as well. There's all kinds of things that I'm on the lookout for, but yeah, really, really cool stuff there. And we're just going to set this down. And we'll get the screen there as well. And we're just going to take a quick look through the rules and adventure book. So, again, I love this artwork here. We got like the red dragon again. We got the characters looking like they're getting ready to attack it. I guess that's your wizard. We have our warriors there. Actually, that's the guy with the plume. So I wonder if these like minis are supposed to be representative of the these heroes are supposed to be representative of the minis in the box set. That'd be kind of neat. So yeah, that goes into like sort of the basics of what's a role-playing game. I kind of hate like this one because like you don't win. You win if everybody, if everybody's having a good time, sort of thing. You're going through the stories but it's definitely not meant to be an us versus them or like an everybody out for themselves type of thing. And again, it does relate this to board games. So I think this is trying to sort of capture the board game crowd a little bit and get them into the tabletop RPG, because it's like it talks about like how many games have you played where there's only one winner. Whoever reaches the end of the track first earns the greatest number of points, collects the most money, and blah blah blah. And it just talks about like that's not how this is. Like this is a cooperative thing, an experience where you're going through a story, you're getting challenges that are presented to you by the dungeon master. Anyway, but yeah, it's really, really cool. It says as long as you're enjoying yourself, you're winning. So that attitude goes all the way back to at least 1994. So let's just continue on here. And again, this is kind of a neat aspect of the book as well. Because it does teach you the game as you go through sort of a choose-your-own-adventure idea. So you go through, you start with the first entry here, where you've come to a town market to meet a merchant who wants you to do an errand for him. When you reach his shop, he smiles and he hefts a 4-foot-long lizard onto the counter. Around the beast's neck is a leash, and over its head is a burlap sack. The merchant says, "Deliver this to Zanzar Tem, and he'll pay you a gold piece." He gives the lizard a shove and it flops to the floor. As the merchant turns to other business, he issues a last warning: no matter what, don't take the sack off its head. And then you get to sort of choose how you go about, like, do you take it through Thieves' Alley or do you go through the market section? At one point, like, some kids want to interact with it, and it might be fun to go through this at some point here. You find yourself in the dungeon, and you have to figure out sort of where you go from there and how you handle things, and it teaches you how to roll the dice, right, with the different aspect of the how do I use those funny dice, rolling and adding modifiers, and yeah. So anyway, it's kind of neat to go through, and like I said, sort of teaches you the game, and then you get into your explanation of the attributes here. And what I kind of like about it is that it breaks things down in a very interesting way. Like, it gives you the experience point adjustments for high or low attributes in your like primary ability score for each class, right? What the strength does, what like intelligence can do, like what the wisdom, sort of what that pertains to, are right with the modifiers. And the modifiers are all the same, right? Like, they're always going to be -3 to no adjustment to +3, right? But it's just kind of interesting that they have like sort of the breakdown of what they do right there on the table, as opposed to just in the explanation. So you can sort of get a better idea, even at a quick glance, what each of these attributes do. And then you've got your character classes here. So you've got your fighter, you've got your cleric. So the fighter does not have much to it. And then you got the cleric, the magic user, the thief. And because, again, this is basic D&D, you have the dwarf, elf, and halfling as their own sort of separate things. Each of these races sort of have their own abilities, but truthfully, I think, like, if I were to run this, there are probably some changes that I would make. Like, for example, like the dwarf and the halfling are just modeled after the fighter. And, I think that the halfling should be more closely modeled after the thief class, with like some of the thief abilities. They do have the ability to hide. Like, if they're in natural surroundings, they can hide with only a 10% chance of being seen. And they have I forget which die you roll, but I think it's a D10 or maybe even if it's a D6. But if they're in a dungeon setting and they're in shadows and they keep still, if you roll a 1 or 2 on the die that it tells you to roll, then they remain hidden, type of thing, unless any light source hits them. So, like, for example, I want the dwarves to be a bit better than just a standard fighter, right? So the fighter gets a D8 for hit dice. I would give the dwarf a D10 so that they have more hit points, or a bit hardier in general there. And they still have like their infravision. They have the ability to detect like angles and slopes and stuff like that, and unusual stonework. But I just feel like they need a little bit more, so even just giving them like the D10, I think, would be great for the hit dice, so that they are like a hardier fighter. The elf is your fighter magic user, so they're the most unique like demi-human character you can play, although it gives you up to level 5, but basically everything else is going to reach level 5 by the time like the elf reaches like level 4, and that's being generous, because like the halfling gets level 5 at 16,000 experience points. That's only level 4. And if we look at, say, like the thief, who only roll D4s for hit dice in basic D&D, they get 5th level at 9,600 experience points. So like they're just always the elf, giving them level 5 on this table is pretty generous. But it is interesting that it goes to level 5, because D&D Basic has always sort of traditionally been levels 1 through 3. So like the Eric Holmes Basic, which was intended to be like a transition product from 0 to first edition AD&D, was levels 1 through 3. The Moldvay Cook Basic was 1 through 3. And the Menser Basic was 1 through 3. So this one actually goes up to level 5. So you get a couple more levels of experience out of the characters in this book, which is kind of neat. Again, it is basic D&D, so you still have the 3 alignments of law, chaos, and neutrality. So good and evil isn't really measured in this particular game. Changing alignments can be bad, though, so it is a thing that you definitely want to keep in mind. Some weapons and equipment, their saving throw table, information on like magic items. Again, some like things that you can sort of go through, choose your own adventure to like learn how to play the game, and then advice on running like the dungeon aspect of this particular game. You got your combat, again, you got your to hit tables. It does mention Thaco somewhere here. I think it mentions Thaco. Movement and combat. I did see it somewhere, right? Like, it's a thing that you can, if you don't want to note everything on there, but I'm not finding it handily, so I'm hoping that I'm not making that up now all of a sudden. But anyway, missile attack damage, inflicting damage, hand-to-hand combat. Oh no, that go optional. There we go there. So, okay, I did see it. I did see it. But yeah, really cool stuff. And then, like I said, we've got the dungeon, which is broken down into 5 levels. And I think the way that it works is that each one's supposed to be for like each level of experience. But yeah, so it's kind of cool to have, like a pretty decent sized dungeon, multiple levels there. And you get a whole bestiary at the back. Right, includes like different types of dragons. The artwork is a little weird because like we have a dragon here in the G section, and not kind of back where the dragons themselves were. So the art doesn't always line up with what's on that particular page, but it's still kind of cool nonetheless. So that it looks like a white dragon. Then we have the ogre mage that we saw there. Not a ton of artwork though for the creatures, and then we got again more dungeon levels there. And the old character sheet. So yeah, really awesome stuff. So that was the classic Dungeons and Dragons game. This is sort of a basic, D&D. Sort of dip your toes a little bit into expert because you get levels 5 and 6 here, or 4, 5, and 6 actually. So, oh no, sorry, you get 4 and 5. You don't get level 6. Oh, it's been a long morning. Yeah, so you get levels 1 through 5, which is really cool. So you get a little bit more progression than you did in any other like starter, like basic version of the D&D game before, which is kind of neat. Although good luck getting your elf to that level. And I like the idea of the multiple choice, like choose your own adventure type of style of tutorial, basically. I think that's kind of neat. And then yeah, you get a multi-level dungeon to go through, or multi-part dungeon to go through there. And yeah, really cool product, and I'm glad to have this in my collection. It will eventually find its way into the Starter Set Saturday rotation. So let me know in the comments below, have any of you picked up the classic Dungeons and Dragons game? What were your thoughts on it? Did you go through the dungeon itself? Yeah, let me know those experiences. Did you get to get your elf to level 5 or not? Let me know that all in the comments below. But anyway, thank you all so very much for your time. I truly appreciate it, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, take care.